In the previous step, we've learned how to create the first email campaign. Now we are going to prepare the first marketing automation scenario. We've made two campaigns for this step by choosing the for scenario option in the campaign settings. To begin, navigate to the Automation tab in the iPresso menu. Then, choose Scenarios and create new scenario options. Now you can see the familiar Settings tab. It is consistent across almost all of the features in the iPresso system. Name your scenario in the appropriate field and input the description if necessary. Keep the period of receiving the contacts option unchanged and set the starting date for your scenario. The finish date here is optional. Choose the contact selecting mode. We have two options, one-time and recurrent mode. Let's keep the one-time mode. Now choose the method of how contacts enter the scenario. For this exercise, we keep the criterion. For other methods, please refer to our respective Help Center articles. Now, decide if you want to save the scenario entrance activity in the contacts history. Finally, input tags for better information clarity. When you finish configuring settings, move forward clicking on the red Next button. In the Recipients tab, you have to define the entrance criteria for your scenario. The criteria themselves are a very broad topic and are covered in their respective Help Center articles. We've decided to choose every contact that has the correct email address in our contact base. In the next step, you have to build your scenario. There are three main types of scenario blocks. Actions that define what should happen, like sending an email or SMS message. Conditions that define the specific circumstances, like receiving or opening an email. And other, as an umbrella group for additional blocks, like, for example, delay setups. Let's choose the first action. We want to send an email to our contacts. Connect the Start block with the newly entered Send Email block. Now, let's check if our contact opens the message. If so, the scenario ends. In the other case, we set up a reminder for our contact and set the SMS message. Each block has to be configured. As an example, please look at the following block settings. Type in the name and choose what email has to be sent. It has to be in the For Scenarios tab in the Campaigns menu, shown at the beginning of this tutorial. For the conditional opened email block, configure it appropriately. It is important to choose the correct verification interval, for example, 4 hours. Save the block and move on to the last configurable one, SMS message. Just as in the email block, you have to input the name and choose the proper SMS message from the list. Optionally, you can name your end blocks differently. Those are mandatory for the scenario to work, so do not forget to place them for each of your scenario routes. When you create your scenario, move on by clicking the red Next button. Check all of the options in the summary. If none of the options is red, you are free to launch your scenario. To do that, move to the Draft tab in your Scenarios menu and click the blue Launch button next to your desired draft scenario. We have just created the first basic scenario. Now you can freely explore and experiment with your contacts, campaigns, and scenarios. The more advanced features of the iPresso system are covered in our Help Center articles. Good luck!